Hello, this is Courtney Johnson, Adult Education Coordinator for Helms at Temple. This is a recap of Writing Club on inferences and making predictions. Thanks for joining me. How do we make predictions? Observations occur based on what is happening around us. For example, today it is raining this morning. Making predictions can help us figure things out based on the observations that we make around us. For example, I need to go to the supermarket later. I believe that it will be less crowded in the supermarket than usual. I predict that since it is raining, less people will be outdoors, which means it will be less crowded in the supermarket. Sometimes these predictions are called inferences. They are often not directly stated, but inferences can help us see the links between information. We can also use inferences to make predictions in the text that we read. What are some other ways we can use inferences? Here are some ways we can use inferences to understand more about a story. Inferences can help us understand new things about a character. For example, we can infer that someone who works late and juggles a lot of projects at work enjoys their job and is a hard worker. Sometimes we can use inferences to understand more about the setting of a story. We can infer that a story that takes place where it is hot and a lot of sand is either in the desert or at the beach. We know that some place that is hot or has a lot of sand wouldn't be at the Antarctic or even under the ocean. We can also use inferences to understand and make connections between two items. For example, if we are told that Connie always picks vanilla ice cream when given the choice between vanilla and chocolate, we can infer that vanilla is her favorite ice cream. If Connie is given more options, then we can no longer make this inference. But based on the information that we know, vanilla versus chocolate, it's safe to infer that vanilla is her favorite ice cream. Let's take a look at some short passages and make inferences and predictions based on the information we're given. Vince Thunder waved to the crowd one more time before he put on his motorcycle helmet. The crowd cheered back uproariously. Vince looked down the ramp and across the 17 school buses that he was about to attempt to jump. It was a difficult trick, and everything would need to go right for him to nail it. His cape blew in the wind. As Vince hopped on his motorcycle and started down the ramp, he noticed something that he had not seen before. There was a large oil slick at the end of the ramp. He attempted to stop the bike, but it was too late. He had already built up too much momentum. What can we predict will happen next? What information in our passage can we use? We can predict that Vince is going to crash. He will not make it over the 17 buses. The information from our passage shows us that there is a large oil slick at the end of the ramp. Due to this oil slick, his motorcycle will not be able to make it over the 17 buses. What can we infer about Vince as a person? We can infer that he likes danger. This is most likely not the first time that he has tried this trick. He's doing this in front of a large crowd who probably came to see him do this trick. We also can infer that Vince is a daredevil. Are you ready for the next passage? Let's take a look. Ding! The timer rang. Cassandra pulled the oven door open and the fragrance of hot cherry pie filled the room. Steam was emanating from the surface of the pastry. Cassandra took a deep whiff and said, Mmm. She then put the pie on the kitchen table to cool and went off to knit a hat for her grandson. Her dog Champ must have smelled the pie too. He wandered into the kitchen, put his forelegs on the table, licked his lips. What do we predict will happen next? What in our passage helps us know this? We can see that the dog is going to eat the pie. What else can we tell from this passage? Champ is a dog. He must also be a bigger dog who's able to climb up onto the table. We also can tell that Cassandra is forgetful. She also puts her pies on the table where the dog can reach them. We also can infer that she is creative. Not only does she like to bake, she likes to knit. This also makes her a good hearted lady who likes to do things for other people. Are you ready to try one more passage? Here we go. Virgil slammed his fist against the locker. The hallway had been packed 1 minute ago, but now most of the students had filed into their classes. The bell would ring shortly. Virgil looked around urgently but saw no friendly faces. He faced the locker again and started spinning the lock. First right, then left, then right. He took a deep breath and pulled the lock. It held tight. Virgil cursed under his breath at the exact moment the bell rang. Virgil grabbed the handle of the locker and yanked it repeatedly in a fit of frustration. Then he threw his arms against the locker and burrowed his head into his arms. Finally, he pushed himself off the locker and went to look for a custodian. What can we predict will happen? What from our passage shows us this? Virgil will need help opening his locker. He is going to be late for class. We also can infer that he most likely has had to do this before. He seems to be very frustrated. What can we infer about Virgil as a person? He has a short temper, and he most likely does not have many friends. We can tell that this story most likely takes place in middle school or high school because he has a locker and there's time in between classes to move to new spaces. These types of things don't happen in an elementary school or at the college level. We also can infer that Virgil will be late to class and this will get him in trouble. As always, thank you so much for joining me for this recap of Writing Club on inferences and making predictions. Would you like some extra practice? Feel free to reach out to your coordinator who can give you some more help. Also, make sure to check out the Helms Academy YouTube page for more recaps on Writing Club and Math Roundtable. Thank you. Take care.